What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today it is time that we discuss Trump's VP selection for 2024. And let me be clear, before we even start, a lot of these names on this list, they're not going to be in the VP selection at all. Either way, there still are quite a few of these candidates that there's a serious shot of them being on the VP. Even if it's small, we got to look at potentially all the serious or even somewhat less serious options. And we're not doing a traditional tier list. We are doing I guess you could say a political ideology chart or whatever, chart, etc. And we have two metrics. Does a candidate add to the ticket? That means, does a candidate actually win an election, or I should say help win the election? And is the VP good on policy or bad on policy? So there is this metric that, how conservative are they and how based are they on the issues? Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the Twitter accounts in the description down below. Guys, go follow Real American Politics on Twitter. It is a great Twitter account to follow. Follow the Rumble page for exclusive content. And of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $3 a month, you could join Real American, which is a phenomenal deal as it helps support the daily content we all know and love. If you love the daily content, well, this is the best way to support it. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Alright, so, like I said, there's two metrics you're looking at. I guess the electability. How much does the person add to the ticket? So, for example, does a candidate help win a swing state? Does it help with a certain group of voters? Etc. And how good are they on policy? Because you still need a VP selection that's not some cringe on the issues, candidate. So, there's a few options here and there, and there's definitely some here that I guarantee you some of these will never even be thought of as a VP selection, but who knows? So, we got Brian Kemp, and, he's good on the policy, he's good on issues, I'm going to put him here, he does add a little bit to the ticket, he adds just a little bit, he would help in a state like Georgia, he would help in a state like Arizona, maybe a state like Virginia, he would help on it. Plus, he is okay. He's good on the issues to a lesser extent. I would say somewhat around here is fair. He adds somewhat to the ticket, and he is good enough on the issues to potentially be a VP selection. And I think that is a reasonable thing to put for Brian Kemp. Now we got Lee Stefanik. Oh boy. The fact that this is even a VP, this is even a possibility is just sad, but I want to put her here. I mean, she's not that good on issues, and what does she add to the ticket? She's really down here. She is one of the, I wouldn't go that far, though. I would say just right here, she is not that known compared to other people, but she doesn't really add anything to the ticket, and quite frankly, she is not that good on the policy, on issues whatsoever. So, I'm going to put her right here. I think that's fair enough to say that, yeah, I would say that's kind of the sweet spot for her. She's not really in a good spot really at all. So that's like the perfect spot for, I guess, best case scenario. But yeah, not really good on issues, doesn't add much to the ticket. Now, Glenn Youngkin, on the other hand, I would say he's maybe about a little less conservative than somebody like Brian Kemp. Let's move Kemp over a little bit, but I would say he's probably a bit better at adding to the ticket. I think, he would help in states like Virginia, Georgia, Arizona, even more. Not as much as Brian Kemp in Georgia, but in more states. He would definitely help in Virginia, potentially give us an avenue to a Virginia Senate seat, would help us in Arizona, definitely help us in Nevada. He is a unique selection, and he does add a little bit to the ticket. My only concern is there's some things here and there about his governorship that's been iffy. And I know it's Virginia, but he still adds a decent amount to the ticket. Now we get JD Vance. He's all the way over here. He is he is perfect on policy. Now, the question is, does he add much to the ticket? I think to be determined with him. He just got elected, and he did beat a fairly strong Tim Ryan. I know it was a quote-unquote red trickle, but still, beat him by 6. I would say he's right here. He's basically perfect on the issues. My only concern is, does he really, as of now, does he add much to the ticket? I think he solidifies, Ohio and Iowa. That's not really saying much. But he may help in a state like Wisconsin, so he may barely. As of now, he's not known enough compared to other people, and is to be determined with, how Vance does in a couple of years. So, for now, I think he slightly, just ever so slightly adds to the ticket. But I think in a couple of years, when more and more people know who Vance is, he could be like right here. But I think, right here, that's a fair assumption for him. A little less than Kemp just for the fact that he's still a little bit not that known, and he just got elected. So I think that's fair. Now, Jim Jordan. He's all right on policy, but he I would say, get the resist libs turnout higher. I mean, that's a problem with him. He would help in Ohio, maybe parts of Michigan, or I should say Pennsylvania. But, I would say right here, I would... better on the issues than somebody like Kemp, better on the issues than somebody like Youngkin, definitely better than Stefanik, but I don't think he really adds much. He may actually hurt the ticket to a lesser extent, because there would be more people that may turn away from a Trump-Jordan ticket just for the fact that Jordan is a uber-Trump supporter, and while he is decent on the issues, I just don't think he is... outside of, he's not like Trump himself, there's just some of the stuff with Jordan I do think would hurt Trump down the line. But I would say overall it's not the worst situation in the world, just probably don't do it Trump. Now, Joe Lombardo. Ooh, this one, the centrist meme? Yeah, I think he would be right here. It's too early to tell with him. It seems like he's going to be all right on policy, so we're going to bump him up just a little bit. He would help with winning Nevada, and he is so far okay on the issues, but it is very early to tell. He could potentially be out here, but I think for now, he is just a brand new governor. He's slightly good on the issues just from what we've seen, and he does add something to the ticket. So... yeah, I would say just okay. Now we get Joni Ernst. No, right there. Kind of the reverse of Joe Lombardo. Not the best on the issues. Doesn't really add much to the ticket. I would say that's fair for her. I mean, she underperformed Trump in Iowa by a couple points, so I don't know what her appeal is, so it may be closer to here, but yeah, it's not as bad. Well, I would say about the same as Stefanik, but she is... maybe about the same on the issues as Stefanik. I don't freaking know. The two are basically the same, but either way, she's from Ohio, so she may get or Iowa, so she is from the Midwest. Yeah, she gets a slight boost over Stefanik, but still, don't pick Joni Ernst. Now we get not JD Vance, Josh Hawley, excuse me. But I would say, right here, he's JD Vance, but I think he does add a bit more to the ticket. We're not going to cover his face, so right there. I would say Vance, I would say they're probably kind of the same on policy, definitely. But I would say Vance, he is more known. I would say for now he does have better optics, just for the fact he's been in the Senate for a while. He's seen as like a suburban dad from Missouri. And I think he does add a little bit to the ticket. Maybe a little bit more than Vance as of now, but I think Vance eventually will be up here. But for now, I think he has a slight edge over Vance, as he does add something to the ticket, even if it's very slight. And to be fair, we'll give Kemp the edge over Hawley like that. So Vance, they're both good on the policy, but for now, I don't think they add the most to the ticket. Oh boy, Carrie Lake. This is a sad day. She's decent on the issues, but She adds absolutely nothing to the ticket. Let's be real. That sucks. Lake should have been a good governor, but her political future's down the frickin' toilet with what happened in Arizona. Look, you could say she got screwed over or whatever. Either way, she has pissed off so many people. All the bridges are burnt. She would probably hurt the ticket way more than even Stefanik. I mean, people don't really know her and Joni Ernst, but her? Yeah, she's good on the issues, but here's the problem. She adds basically nothing to the ticket. She hurts us in several states. If this was, some kind of like DeSantis Lake ticket, maybe it would be a little less bad. But when you're a Trump Lake ticket, that's a disaster waiting to happen. So I would say she is probably right over there. Now, this is Kim Reynolds. I would say right here, solid on the issues, and she does add a lot to the ticket. She would help quite a bit in the states of, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, but in particular, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a big one. She does add a lot to the ticket. She's the governor of Iowa, very well liked, fairly solid on the issues. She is very good on the issues overall, and popular governors in the Midwest, they tend to translate well to all the states, like Wisconsin, like I just said. Plus, Iowa and Wisconsin are fairly similar in how rural they are. There's some difference here and there, yes, but there's a lot of rural aspects of Wisconsin that are very similar to that of Iowa. I think she actually does bode well with a Trump on the Trump ticket, especially the fact that Trump's looking for a woman. So I think she would be a good VP selection for Donald Trump. One of the best that could maybe happen, but it may not happen after all. Either way, it does add quite a bit to the ticket. Now, Christy Noam. She has always been an overrated governor, and I'm glad she got exposed. She doesn't really add much to the ticket. I mean, she's kind of bad on the issues to a lesser extent. Not as bad as these two clowns, but I think the fact is it would be probably like right here. She's not the best on the issues. I don't think she adds really much to anything to the ticket outside of the fact that she's a woman. But outside of that, I think Christy Noam is, it's not the worst selection in the world, but I really don't think that adds much to the ticket, if at all. Now, Lee Zeldin. Yes, my man, the legend. The fact is, even though he's not the most conservative guy in the world, he still kind of is. He is literally perfect. Absolutely perfect to add to the ticket. And he's conservative enough. He's, in my opinion, about the same as somebody like Kemp or Youngkin, maybe a little bit to the left of them. It's like right here. I think Zeldin is the best option for Trump outside of somebody like DeSantis for 24. He does add quite a bit to the ticket. He absolutely does. He's some guy that nearly won New York statewide in the year of 2022. And he's created a new campaign strategy. I mean, if we combine Lee Zeldin's campaign strategy with Trump would be unstoppable. And I think that Zeldin should be in strong consideration for the VP selection. So yeah, I think for now, Lee Zeldin should be on the ticket. Now we get my man, Mark Robinson. I hate to say this, he's great on the issues. Don't get me wrong. He is very good. He's going to run for the governorship in North Carolina. I think very similar to Vance. Maybe he doesn't, he's not as good on the issues as Vance, but it's kind of hard to top. Either way, I think Mark Robinson, just for the fact is he's a little less known. He would help in North Carolina. I think he would solidify a state like North Carolina. But for the other swing states, maybe Georgia? He would help maybe a couple points in, maybe? Either way, I don't think he adds, as of now, the most of the world. But who knows? When he hopefully becomes the next governor of the great state, maybe he could be up here. But I think right now, just there to adding to the ticket, but very based on the issues. Now we get Blackburn from Tennessee, fairly underrated senator, but I don't see how she adds much to the ticket. You know, not as bad as Jim Jordan, because Jordan has always been seen as the Trump guy in the Judiciary Committee. Blackburn, I just don't think's known enough. I mean, she's good on the issues, don't get me wrong. She is fairly solid on most issues. Either way, I think, she doesn't add the most to the ticket. I don't really think she does. So, I think Blackburn right here is fine. She is from Tennessee, so it may help in some of the southern states. Maybe it helps in North Carolina. Maybe helps in Georgia. But, outside of being great on the policy, great on issues, I should say, I really don't know how you can have her on the ticket that helps. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's a weird world she becomes a great VP selection. But for now, I think that is a great place to put her. Now we get Mike Garcia. He's okay on the issues. Sometimes he's great, sometimes he's kind of cringe, but, I'm a big fan of Mike Garcia. Either way, he's a fairly strong VP selection. I would say in the likes, maybe a little bit less as, somebody like, Governor Reynolds of Iowa. Just for the simple fact he is from California, but he would help in more suburban Sunbelt states like Nevada, like Arizona, like Georgia. But I don't think he does pretty much anything in a state like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, etc. But either way, I do think in a lot of the swing states he would probably help in, just for the fact he has great optics. And kind of similar to Zeldin, not too as an extreme as what Zeldin did, he has created a fairly strong platform for how to win elections. I mean, for crying out loud, he won by like 7 in a Biden plus 12 seat? The guy knows how to win, and he probably has a serious shot of winning again in 24. So I think that's fair enough to put him there. Now, Mike Pence now, like right here, it's like he's not the worst on the issues. Don't get me wrong. He's fairly conservative on stuff like abortion and all that stuff, but he was useful in 2016 for the simple fact he got the evangelical voters to stay for Trump. There's a lot of those Ted Cruz types that they didn't trust Trump enough on social issues, so that's why he picked Pence. Outside of that, maybe the same level as, not the same level as Ernst and Stefanik, because at least he may be able to help keep some evangelical voters, maybe. But outside of that, he's okay on the issues for social issues. Economics, he's a disaster. But does he add to the ticket? I don't think he adds really much of anything. I think he would slightly hurt Trump in some areas, but at the same time, there are some voters that probably wouldn't vote if Pence was on the ticket. Just for the fact he is evangelical, he does appeal to those voters. Outside of that, he's practically the same as Joni Ernst and Elise Stefanik. Mike Pompeo, he's bad on policy, and I don't know what he adds to the ticket. I mean, just put him there. He's not that good on anything. So, why would you add him to the ticket? I think he would arguably hurt the Republican candidate if he was the nominee. He doesn't add anything. He's cringe on foreign policy, which would help, which actually hurt, I should say, in several Midwestern states that aren't the most keen to sending our boys to die in some endless war. But Mike Pompeo, he doesn't add much anything to the ticket. He's a little bit worse than even Stefanik on the issues. Maybe actually I wouldn't say go that far, but who knows? They're about the same on the issues. They're both kind of cringe. I would say, yeah, he may actually do a little bit worse than Stefanik. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, man. Why is she a serious VP selection? Don't get me wrong. She is good on the issues. However, she doesn't add much to the ticket. I wouldn't say as bad as Carrie Lake, because at least Taylor Greene the past couple of months has seemingly become best friends with people like McCarthy, so it may help her, I guess. But outside of that, why? Just, who does she appeal to outside of some extreme MAGA conservatives? I don't see who she really has this unique appeal to anybody. But for now, I think that's kind of fair to her. She is slightly better on the issues than Carrie Lake, but she isn't this perfect VP selection that some people think she is. Now, Nikki Haley. Oh, gosh. I think unironically, she's probably the same. Yeah, she's about the same as, I would say actually slightly more conservative than Christy Noam, to a lesser extent, maybe a bit better. They're kind of the same. Either way, you can put these two either way, but they don't add much to the ticket. If anything, they may actually hurt the ticket in some areas. Not really good selection, probably like right there. Noam's probably a bit better. So I would say you can intertween these guys, between Noam and Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley just cringe. I don't see how she helps in any state outside of like maybe the Carolinas. That's like the only thing that's keeping her relevant, that she is from South Carolina. That may help Trump in a state like North Carolina, maybe parts of Georgia. Outside of that, why? Just why? She is not the best on the issues. Maybe I may actually put her here. I don't know. She's one of those people that she's good on stuff like abortion, but outside of that, yeah, we're just gonna put her here for now. That's a tough one because Pompeo sucks. He's vastly underrated for how bad he is on the issues. I wouldn't say as bad as Pompeo, but probably a bit worse than even somebody like Stefanik, because Nikki Haley, outside of maybe abortion, has no issues going for her that's positive. So Nikki Haley doesn't add much to the ticket at all. Now, Rand Paul. What a weird case of libertarianism. Half the time he's like right here. The other half time he's like right here. It's just, why? He is so all over the place just for the simple fact that he is a libertarian. But I don't think he evens out like right here. He doesn't really add much to the ticket. A little bit worse on the issues than somebody like Blackburn, just for the fact he does have that stupid libertarian streak in him. I just don't get it. I don't get Rand Paul at times. Yes, I know he's a libertarian, but he has some questionable votes. Even more so than his father. At least his father was sometimes consistent. I mean, yes, that's Ron Paul we're talking about, but Rand Paul just seems a bit more chaotic at times, but he's still decent enough on the issues. About the same, maybe a bit better than Brian Kemp, but he doesn't add much to the ticket just for the fact, I don't know who appeals to in swing states, but I don't think it actively hurts the Trump campaign. Now we get to the fascinating one, Ron DeSantis. DeSantis, he does add a lot to the ticket. I think he's right here. He's more conservative, maybe not as much as some people think than Kim Reynolds, but I think he adds a lot to the ticket. He's a very popular governor in Florida. He has a lot of appeal to some of these Biden voters that they never liked Trump, they never liked Pence, but I think a couple of them would probably vote for Trump for the fact that DeSantis is on the ticket. The problem is this realistic now? I don't know. I really do not know if this is realistic, if at all. So DeSantis for now, because, the DeSantis-Trump war is getting stupid. Either way, I think DeSantis would be a good VP selection for 24. I think Zeldin would be the best, but that's just my opinion. That is just my opinion on things. Now we get Ted Cruz. Oh, boy. This is a tough one. He's not bad on issues. He's very similar, maybe a bit better than Pence on some issues, but yeah, he doesn't. Who would he appeal to? He would be right here. Let's be honest here. He's slightly better on the issues than Pence, but I don't see any states he does good in anymore. I mean, he's struggling in his own state of Texas, and that's becoming more and more of a semi-swing state. I think it's still a leaning Republican state, but if he's going to hurt us in possibly Texas, I mean, who does he really appeal to? Now, outside of that, I don't think he hurts us in any other state like Carrie Lake or Marjorie Taylor Greene would, but still, I don't think he is the best solution on the ticket. Now we get Tim Scott. Um, I'll put him here. At least he is sometimes better than Nikki Haley, sometimes better than Mike Pompeo. And at least I would say he does add something to the ticket. Again, he's from South Carolina. He's fairly well liked within the Republican base. There are a lot of independents that do like Tim Scott. So he does at least add something of value, but he's not the best on the issues. And outside of not being as hated as somebody like Pence, which is not that hard to do, he doesn't really add much, if anything. So I would say slightly better than Nikki Haley, but that's not really saying much. Now we get the final two, Tucker Carlson and Tulsi Gabbard. Now, with Tucker, let me be clear, he is great on the issues. However, and this is a big however, I don't see this idea that he would add so much to the ticket. I love Tucker. I loved Tucker when he was on this show, and hopefully I'm going to love his show on Twitter. Either way, I don't know who he really... Like, there are some people I think he could potentially appeal to, but I would say he's kind of similar to Vance. I don't think he adds the most of the ticket, but I think he does to a lesser extent. He doesn't really hurt. He balances out. There's some voters he may swing Republican, but there are a lot of like Democrat or Republicans that are hating the scary mean tweets. Those type that may have voted Republican in 2020, but they may not now that Carlson's on the ticket. Who knows? I don't think he adds the most in the world to the ticket, but who knows? I could be wrong, and he goes on Twitter and he becomes some extremely based guy that has 50 million viewers a day. Who knows? But he doesn't really add the most to the ticket. I hate to say it, but just being kind of realistic here. If you have a Trump Tucker Carlson ticket, I don't know. Now we get Tulsi Gabbard. This is weird. This is one of those where it was like a couple years ago she was here. Not the best on the issues, but she may have added a little bit to the ticket. Now, sometimes she's here, okay on the issues, and may add something to the ticket. It's one of those where I'm just going to put you that here. Whatever. I don't know. Just for the simple fact of she was a lifelong Democrat, and she's been oddly, suddenly conservative or red-pilled. I'm just going to put her here. Like, don't get me wrong, she's good on stuff like foreign affairs. She's actually become good on stuff like women's sports. But outside of that, I just don't trust her. And I think there's a lot of independents that, I don't know. Does she add much to the ticket? That's a tough one. She's probably the closest one, like, here. Who knows? Where should I put her, guys? Anyways, guys, just let me know down below because this is a tough one. This is a really tough one for me to rank. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this longer video, this Mother's Day special, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. Smash the like button down below. Subscribe. Share with your friends. Hit that little bell. Follow the Twitter accounts in the description down below. And of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed to all of you.